Let's go. Blake Ruffino, Sunday nights. Always tune into his show, in particular on Tuesdays when I'm with you. Your first thoughts when you rewatched the LSU Alabama game was what?
Loved how physical you were on defense. I thought you were very physical at the point of attack. I thought Jacoby and Guillory and the interior defensive line did some really good things against a really porous Alabama run game. Carter, they've had a problem all year running the football along, same as you. You did a really good job up front, and you really took it to them. It's the first thing that I think about. And then, how much money did Garrett Nussmeier have on the game last night would be my second question.
Yeah, it was like the Vanderbilt game where the rewatch gets a lot worse when you really dive deep into it. So I think the first question I would ask you is, do you think Michael Van Buren starts versus Arkansas?
I don't. So from a sourcing standpoint, I don't know. If you're asking me my opinion, yeah, I think he should start the rest of the season. I think that, you got to roll with him and see what you got. I mean, look, he's played in 3 games now, right? I mean, unless you don't want to burn his red shirt. But Carter, why would you're here? I mean, it's not going to get better. What does it hurt him? What does he want to do? I mean, those conversations have to be had. I don't think you put him in last night's game and him do what he did if you're not thinking to yourself and you haven't talked about him playing. Now, I do feel bad for Michael that he can't take a red shirt, right?
Yeah.
But Garrett is, I mean, it's bad, man. I mean, and I think another thing too is now you see 2 play callers that do not trust him at all. That's the biggest thing with play calling is how different did it get with Michael Van Buren versus that it got with Garrett Nussmeier. I mean, they're pushing the ball vertically, Carter, and I think that that's the biggest thing for me. It's like, if this kid's going to be here, then why not give him the most reps? Like, Carter, what if he doesn't leave? Like, what if he is here next year? And so, yeah, you got to give him the reps and get him ready to go here.
For me, at first when I was, watching the game live, I loved the fact that LSU was running everything quick for 2 reasons.
O-line.
It takes your offensive line out of the game. But number 2, it takes Garrett out of the game as well. Run the play and just live with the results. But even when it was straight drop back stuff, it was bad. It was really, really, really bad. And for me, it was the final miss at the end of the first half. Yeah, it was, to me, one of the biggest non-interception bad plays of the Garrett Nussmeier era because
they have no time. I mean, you got to set up the whole situation. They have no timeouts.
Right.
You're what were they? Where were we at a minute? You're at a minute in the game. So 2 things there. Number 1, why don't you run the football and go and just be down 10-3? But at the same time, Carter, here's the thing. They were aggressive. I love the aggressiveness, and he's got to hit that. And the bottom line is I would rather him have been sacked there.
Yes, absolutely. I'm with you. I mean, to me, it's one of the biggest misses I can remember. So
as you stare him down.
Yes. So
did he just not think that he could get the ball over the linebacker? Is that what he thought?
Yeah, but it's the only guy that you have to really read. I can understand if there's 2 receivers on that side, but that's where the ball needs to go.
You've got to be able to make that throw. I'm sorry. I mean, we're trying to help him out here. You got to make that throw. That's so god-awful.
Yes, and the thing that really hurt, and we've already done a film study on it. You can check it out for yourself at Power Hour LSU. So as you know, Blake, I don't do
LSU baseball game all day. I have to go check it out.
Okay, so I don't do a football film study of the offense until Monday nights.
Okay.
This play disgusted me so much that I wanted to get it out. So you can check it out for yourself on Twitter. That's a 10-point swing. At least 10-point swing. At the very least 7 points, right? So Alabama doesn't score the touchdown if you hit that ball to Xavion. and more than likely you're getting a field goal in the hurry up right there. So that is
You're
just
going to be really damn close.
it's an all-time miss. It's an all-time miss.
It is.
And then you get to the second half where it got a lot worse. So what stood out to you in those first couple of drives in the second half before MVB?
Ori Williams really played well against LT Overton and Pierre. He is your starting right tackle moving forward. It is a massive indictment on Weston Davis. It's a more massive indictment on Brad Davis.
Yes.
I still don't understand Cortez Hankton's rotations. I think that needs to be taken away from him now. But
Agreed.
Carter, every time that you get a big play, you keep shooting yourself in the foot.
The Destin Hill snaps make no sense to me. It's
well, you're not throwing him the ball. You don't.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what he's going to do.
And that's what doesn't make sense to me. Like, if I'm the defense and I watch as much film as these kids are able to now with the iPads, and you're like, number 2 hasn't even really been targeted.
No, he's not been throwing the ball all year.
Yeah, so if I know when he's on the field, he hasn't been targeted. I know where the ball's not going, right? It's
Cortez is awful at this. He's awful at this. I mean, he's awful at his own rotation. You're putting a guy in who hasn't been targeted all year?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. You then get into Alabama's rush defense going into this game was a weakness, and you still weren't able to capitalize on it outside of Harlem Berry having a few good runs. Is this the worst LSU offensive line you've ever seen?
Oh, boy. I still think 2020 was really bad.
True.
2020
was bad.
Yeah, 2020 was still very bad. It's up there. Yeah, it's up there.
I
don't think it's as bad as I don't think it's – look, you got to take in a couple things to account. Your starting left tackle's out,
True.
right?
Yeah.
You're putting a freshman guard at left tackle, and then you just replace your right tackle. But, yeah, it's bad.
I think it's the worst, though. I mean, Weston Davis is the lowest. I mean, it's not even close now in the PFF era. He is the lowest graded guy that they have ever had. 30. I never thought I would see an LSU every down starter be at a 37. So, for instance, DJ Chester, who I'm a little bit more critical of with what he did last year than you, but he had a 49. And Weston Davis is a season-long 37. And I do think it's a little bit negligent that we've let it go on for this long. Now, you and I both understood the logic.
I mean, have you seen quarterback?
What do you mean?
The Brian Kelly era is going to be not making a move until it's too late. Matt House, Garrett Nussmeier, Weston Davis.
And
it is their MO.
And the biggest was Joe Sloan. So
Joe Sloan. They'd even throw that in there. Yeah.
I do, you and I disagree on, how bad Nuss was or how good Nuss was last year. I do give you a lot of credit, though. I want to say this YouTuber to YouTuber. I didn't tell you this privately. You and I talk privately more than we do on segments. You're the biggest critic of Garrett going into this year.
Apparently.
Well, I don't think critic is the right word. I think skeptic is the right word. And you're right. You're right. You deserve credit for it because it's not easy doing that to the home team quarterback. It's not. And the thing is, there is no, and I want people to put themselves into your seat.
Yeah,
and trust
they don't do that.
This is going to come off as me glazing you, and I don't like doing that. But I do like doing that because you're my friend. There is no upside,
none
at all, when you're criticizing the quarterback. There is none.
Unless you're in the spot that I am in at the current moment. So
Yeah,
you take a lot of shit for a long time, and then credibility then shoots through the roof in reference to, hey, man, this dude took a lot of shit saying that he does not think that Garrett is the dude, and he got benched.
Yeah, it's tough to sit in the seat when you
And
when
by
you
the
do
way,
that.
it's the same thing that happened with Jaden when everybody was on me saying that he needs to be benched. Quarterback is quarterback is quarterback. I mean, you don't watch enough. You don't watch the game enough in our seat to see what he's missing. That's the point that I think that the normal fan to what we do as a full-time freaking job. Like, what? Let me ask the current fan. What do you think I do during the day?
Oh, you play with your kids.
No, they're at school.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, what do I do? What do you
watch
do?
games.
You watch games.
You watch games.
You watch games. You watch everything that goes on. I just think he's never – Garrett, to me, has never been a good decision maker ever. And until you change that, it was never going to change. If you're going to be a pocket passer ever, you also have to be an elite decision maker.
Well, he's been I'll push back. He's been a good decision maker.
No, he hadn't.
Between the 20s mostly in his career.
No, he hasn't.
No, no.
Carter,
I mean,
Carter.
most of the time in 2024.
Okay, then explain 14 interceptions in between the 20s.
It wasn't 14.
Yes, it is. He's got 2 in the red zone. Bama and that one.
Yes.
Bama and the South Carolina one. So
he's had a lot in the extended red zone, but
that's Florida wasn't the red zone. They were at the 3-yard line.
I will push back though that he's always been a bad decision maker.
He has always been a bad decision maker. You can't say that somebody's right and then my opinion be wrong. He's been a bad decision.
Yeah, but you can. When
no, you can't because
there's aspects of it you could disagree.
Carter, he threw 9 interceptions in the month of October last year, and y'all were telling me he was a good decision maker.
Yeah, but they weren't all his fault. I mean, the ones versus Ole Miss were a good chunk of it were his fault. The A&M one,
all his fault.
Yes, but but my point is with LSU not having a running game. They needed him to really.
John Mateer doesn't have a run game. Ty Simpson doesn't have a run game, and they don't turn the ball over.
Well, they had a better run game than we
No,
did.
They didn't.
And they had better play calling.
No, they don't, Carter.
Yeah, they have better.
No, they got better play callers. They don't have a better run game. One is 122nd, and the other's 120th. No, they don't.
But I was agreeing with your overall point, though, that. You're right about Garrett going into the season, and I was wrong. I thought he was going to be good.
No, but you know why? Because when you do, not you, meaning this to you, if you do the job and you talk to people around that building and they tell you what they say and you hear what I hear on a daily basis, you would have known that too. Carter,
no, I mean,
one of the only times that they worked out, and I said this during the summer, the only times that the receivers and quarterbacks all together got as one time out of like maybe 3 was at like late in the summer.
Yes, but I will also say that based on the players that I spoke to, they were high on us going into the season. They were.
That point that doesn't matter.
But I will also say that you and I discussed privately some of the work ethic concerns with Garrett. But ultimately, whether or not he worked his tail off or not, it is astonishing how bad he's been. And you could point to 1,000, and this is what I said earlier in the video, was he has a lot of legitimate excuses as to why he did not play well this year.
Now make those same for Ty Simpson. That's all I'm asking.
But Simpson's environment is better, a lot better than Garrett.
Okay, name the quarterback I'm talking about. Non-mobile, more pocket passer with a offensive rushing attack in the 120s.
Yes, but the play caller.
By the way, they're third in the SEC in giving up sacks.
The play caller's way better. The head coach
Sure.
is way better.
Sure.
The receivers are better. Tight ends are better. And the offensive line, while it's not great.
Yeah, but he's not making wrong decisions.
True. No, I'm with you. I've been really high on.
Every time that we have this argument, there's a pushback on what he actually did do. His environment this, his environment that. What's the truth?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay.
We're on the same side here.
Okay. Then the truth, but then you can't push back on. I make a statement, there's pushback. He got benched. Why?
Well, he wasn't playing well. I'm with you.
And he hasn't. And
yeah.
I see a guy that's not ever been truly prepared. I don't think he's ever been truly prepared.
All right, what do you mean by that? Let's hear it.
Okay. How many times is he going to make wrong reads at reading a safety wrong, reading an RPO wrong, reading so many different things wrong? How are you prepared for the moment?
No, and I will definitely agree with you on that. He's guessed a lot and he was very lucky. He ran really hot in 2024 with some of the guesses on some of the throws.
The Aaron Anderson throw against Ole Miss is a lucky guess. I'm sorry to say that. It's a lucky guess.
I don't think that one was a lucky guess.
It's a lucky guess.
It wasn't, but I will push back and say that it wasn't the hardest thing to read, knowing that they played that same type of defense all the way to that portion of the field. But there were some pretty big throws he had last year where he got lucky.
He regrets.
But what I think partially happened to him this year, though, is, the game scripts were so similar last year. And you look at this year, we've played in a variety of games where the defenses actually did give you a lead, and he played terribly when his defenses gave a lead versus Florida and South Carolina.
They got the fumble, the stop on the fourth down.
Yeah, it's bad. But
the problem, let me tell you another problem why he's not prepared. The timeouts are not all on Cortez. The first timeout, they had 12 seconds left on the play clock. 12. And he's looking at Frank. He goes, go back and watch. He goes, timeout. And he goes like this. And then Frank throws his paper down and calls the timeout. And you have 12 seconds on the play clock. Run the play.
Yeah. So part of why I want Michael Van Buren to be the quarterback, because we had some timeout management issues when he came in. I am interested in seeing how those management issues go with him at QB.
Oh, it's going to be the same because Cortez is Cortez. The first thing that's got to happen today is Cortez and his rotations. It's over with. You have who are the best 4 players? By the way, Bauer Sharp's not one of them.
Oh, he's atrocious.
He's not one of them. Play your best 4 players.
Here's a problem. Really quick. Here's the problem with Bauer Sharp. Even if you think the fumbles are just random,
the run blocking's just as bad.
Yeah, run blocking, all different types of blocking. He cannot do it, and it was all throughout the Oklahoma tape too. So I feel bad for him to a certain degree, but he's just not been that good. So now
Harlan Berry still ran the ball for over 5 yards to carry. And be honest with you, Frank lied. Let's just be blunt. Frank said, we're going to go in this game. We're going to run the football. No, you didn't.
I mean, they tried.
Yeah, sure. They did try. But at the same time, how many times did you run it in the second half? You pressed yet again. We act like a team. No, we don't act. We are a team that doesn't understand the moment.
Yeah. And a lot of that is really poor game management. And
yes,
this is, and look, I took some heat from someone at LSU, and I will also say that I had the good fortune of sitting close to Frank's family at the SEC championship game. I like Frank. I do.
I do too.
I think he could do a good job here as the interim.
Agreed.
I also like the fact that he took ownership And that's why I made sure to include
You
the
talking
clip.
about the second quarter thing?
The second
Him
quarter
saying
thing.
that they should have ran the ball? Yeah.
He took ownership of that and trusted Garrett, and Garrett
It
failed
got
him.
him benched. It got him benched.
Yeah, I would have benched him at halftime for that.
Yeah, and
But
the sack, Carter. Have you seen people online blaming Kern on the sack?
oh, they don't know anything about football.
I mean,
I don't know.
bro,
That's the worst criticism of a left tackle you should ever.
I mean, he just pushes him out. Why doesn't he step up in the pocket?
Well, you know what's crazy? And this will be in the study tomorrow. All right. So if you remember the play before there was a penalty, and Garrett did that same spinning thing. Okay. So what I think happened, because it never makes sense to spin to the left there. It doesn't. I think he predetermined he was going to do that on that play. That's the only way that makes sense, because he did it the play before when there was a penalty, and then on the next play he did it, and it made no sense for him to do it. And that's why I bring up quite a bit that Garrett guesses quite a bit. He guesses how a play should actually happen and not actually trusting himself. And there's two different explanations for that. It goes along to what you said a minute ago about preparation, and then it also goes to, hey,
awareness.
I'm just guessing. Yeah, I'm just gonna wing it. I'm gonna see if this works or not, and that is a major problem.
Well, to end this before I'm sure we get to Michael Van Buren, the way he reacted to it pissed me off a little.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Being on the sidelines laughing, not sitting next to Michael Van Buren after his first drive and helping him walk through some things when you do have your experience, and sitting on the sideline and pouting when I can go through game after game after game after game of Michael Van Buren constantly sitting by your side. Now, Garrett, to me, from a team perspective, is 1,000% not playable. Let me tell you something. If you mean to tell me that a backup was by your side the entire season, and when you got benched, you went and pouted and you didn't cheer him on or you didn't have his back, I'm done.
Well, I would be interested.
I am done.
If for someone to ask MVP directly, hey, did Garrett help you?
They're not. Carter, hold on. We know. Hold on now. On the TV copy, they are showing Michael Van Buren going through the iPad with what looks to be Tim Rattay. Okay? In that copy, then they show Michael Van Buren, and they see him with it. You see him with the iPad, and then you see Garrett with Patrick Kelly, whose dad just got fired, and they are laughing. I don't want to hear that we don't know.
Yeah, I got to rewatch this.
Please,
I mean,
if anyone wants me to go back through it and clip it for him,
please do.
Let me know.
I don't have a full TV copy because of the YouTube TV thing kind of screwed me up. But I do have the all 22, so I don't have access to the full broadcast.
Go watch the TV copy. People in the chat, tell me, did you or did you not see it? Because Carter, it happened.
Y'all send it to me. I watch TV. But I'm also live for the entire game, so I guess yeah.
Carter, if I'm a player, I am pissed.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you do need to start Michael Van Buren the rest of the way. I think the sample size is definitely large enough that you need to go in a separate direction.
He's a better quarterback,
and
it's not that difficult.
Well, I think it is a little bit.
It's not even remotely close to being on the stratosphere of difficult.
Dang, dude, you're just gonna rip the Band-Aid off and pour.
Why not?
Pour it with iodized salt. I mean, just
hold on.
Pay this.
Michael Van Buren came in the game with 2 minutes left to go in the third quarter and had more productive runs in 2 drives than Garrett has in probably his entire career.
His entire career.
Name 2 times in critical moments that Garrett Nussmeier ran. Ole Miss, name another.
You can't. I thought you were.
Point taken.
I will second that. I do think Michael Van Buren should start, and we'll see how Garrett reacts to it. Look,
if he reacts like he did against Alabama, buddy, that's Bush League. It's Bush.
Your thoughts?
I'm talking 1980s Bush.
Before we skedaddle here, your thoughts on LSU's defensive performance versus Alabama?
Typical. Called it Thursday. Said this is a really good matchup for you because Simpson can't run. Carter, they ran one inverted veer and he got 17 yards on it. You still can't stop a running quarterback even when he's slow.
Oh, Ty. I like the way he plays. He missed some open guys.
If he doesn't miss those, which he's not going to moving forward, you got some breaks. I love the way your DBs played.
Had a great game. I thought
Mansour Delane's got 2 targets the last 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, I think Baker was fine. There is a major pass rushing issue on this team from their front four.
Yeah, that was something I did miss on. If you're going to say I hit on something, I missed on edge. But your tackles are really bad, so maybe I oversold it. I missed on that one.
Yeah, I mean, rush defense are good, but pass rush, in particular, Patrick Payton had a lot of one-on-ones, and for him to not
be any of them,
to him goose egg versus Caden Proctor, who is a turnstile in one-on-one situations, pure one-on-one. I'm going up against you situations. To get donutted is insane. Absolutely insane to me. I was definitely one
Proctor
of the
hasn't given up a pressure since Florida State, by the way.
Yeah, no, trust me. He's good.
Coming into his own, man.
But since Florida State.
Yeah, that's what the PFF grade showed on Twitter.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Okay, you watch the film more than I do.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's gotten beat to the inside a few times. The truth, though, is he should have won at least one of those.
Regardless, right?
But, Baker at the end of quarters can be brutal. And it's tough. Now, at the same time, you get into what modern defense actually is. So much of it is how good is your offense? And your offense isn't any good. You put your defense in bad spots. At the end of the second quarter, you put them in a really bad spot. They should still be able to get a stop, and they can't do it.
But the problem is that they gave up 3 points in the second half.
Yes, and that's where some of those were misses on Ty Simpson. Some of those were game scripts and game flow types of things. But you are correct. Great play by Harold Perkins, who had to me, his best game of the season. Not just the strip. Yeah, I thought he was really good just overall. But
yeah, the play he made in coverage too. The tackle that forced a third down, that forced a punt, was massive.
LSU head coaching
really good game. Really good.
LSU head coaching search is what for you right now?
Missing structure.
Yeah.
I think LSU is trying to fix structure, and people are saying, brother, y'all are chaotic right now. And we're going to give you a couple weeks to see if you can calm it down.
For me, Verge Osbury, President Roos.
Do you really think Verge is making this higher? Because I don't.
And why do you think that?
Because it's still political. I still hear that, the governor doesn't want Verge as the permanent AD, and that's why they held off on it. And listen, people say, well, they walked it back. They walked back to walk back.
Yeah. Okay. So explain that, because I tried to explain it.
Okay.
And it makes sense when you say it, but yes, you are correct. You are correct.
So Roos gets the job.
Yes.
Board of Supervisors said, listen, we're already having conversations behind closed doors about who we want to be the next head coach. They keep saying, you don't have a sitting AD. You have no structure whatsoever. They panic. They promote Verge. The governor calls Roos and says, listen, you were my guy and you just screwed this shit up. Get him out of there. Then they walk back the statement. Roos then calls the governor and says, listen, we kind of can't now. I mean, the board asked me to make him the permanent for the time being, so we had structure so we can make this hire. So we kind of have to do it. The governor is going to get 6 board of supervisors or 5 board of supervisors that he gets to appoint on July the 1st, and I don't know if Verge survives it, regardless of who he hires. So I think this is going to be a short tenure, and I got to be real with you. I'm hearing behind closed doors that Scott Ballard, the chairman, is the one doing most of the stuff here. Verge is doing a lot of legwork, but the board is the one that's kind of calling the shots.
This feels so forced.
It is forced because it is.
And I will go one step further. If you're an LSU fan, the one thing you do not want to happen is, let's just say this is Verge's hire and he's not the long-term answer at AD. It's going to be a mess. It is going to be a mess.
Hold on. You can save it. Can I tell you how you save it?
Let's go.
Hey, listen, I'm throwing Lane Kiffin's name in there just to throw in Lane Kiffin, okay? So I'm not
just hypothetical.
Hypothetically speaking. Lane, we promoted Verge for structure. Either he's gonna be here in the foreseeable future, or he is. Whatever you want. You can help handpick the next athletic director for LSU.
It's a lot of power to give a football coach.
You did it to Nick Saban. You were going to do it with Jay Johnson, and then Roos royally screwed it up.
How so?
Jay was going to be a part of the committee to search for AD.
I would have been down with that. Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of these coaches were. I'm sure Kim. I'm really confident Kim would have had a massive voice in this too. Like everybody's saying, oh, football. Brother, football is,
dude, I want this to also be clear, is you need to be ready to whiff on some big names.
Oh, right? Yes.
Because
notice how Eric Morris's name came up a lot today from North Texas. We talked about this on Thursday. Did you see people clipping our segment on Thursday saying, wait. Why is all this North Texas stuff coming out of North Texas about Eric Morris and LSU? This wasn't an LSU thing. And I'm like, hey man, it's going to start coming. Pause. It's going to start. Is
that your sleeper? Like who you personally like? Or
no, not who I personally like. I just told you the smoke was going to start, and then here comes the smoke. And so I think with that means that people are really turned off by your lack of structure.
I couldn't agree more. And my understanding is Lane is definitely someone that they're after.
Mm-hmm.
And I did work the phones. Now I'm not high muckety muck up to know if Marcus Freeman is a real name that they really want to go after. But I heard there is interest in going after him.
Okay. Yeah, Verge's sons play for him, or son plays for him,
and that's part of it. And then I do think LSU is going to go try the Dan Lanning option because I think they'll try and they'll with.
No, the reason the Dan Lanning $20 million buyout with the building came out is because LSU already knocked on that door.
So you don't think they'll make another push?
No, who got 20 million?
If somebody wants him bad enough, this man will sit in the rain in a fleece to let his players know I'm in the fight with you. When he said that, I was like, sign me the F up.
Yeah, I don't think Dan Lanning's leaving. I'd be shocked.
I would be too. I think for me, true or false, this hire will 99.9% happen after or during the college football playoff?
I don't know that. I'm actually more 50-50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're because I don't think it's a
Because
foregone
there's only a handful of coaches that you'd be going after in the playoff. Marcus Freeman, Lane Kiffin, or Dan Lanning. Well, let's take Dan Lanning out for just a second. That leaves Marcus Freeman or Lane Kiffin. And is Florida hired a head coach? But then you start really, because if they know Lane's not coming, they will have a head coach. And I hear Lincoln Riley's really pushing for that Florida gig. So
so the Pate smoke was real.
Well, Pate Smoke actually happened on AYS the Monday before, but what do I know? Yeah.
That's what I was saying. I listened to the interview.
Word on the street is that he wants out of LA.
Mm.
He can't burn brisket in LA because nobody cares.
Oh man, that brisket. Dude, I want to try Lane Kiffin's brisket so bad.
Mega pause.
Dude, that was not. And now, if I would have said, Lane, I want your meat in my mouth, that would have been pause. Not. I want to try your brisket.
See y'all later. Good Lord.
No. I was checking you for the worst
God
of all time.
That's
what I was saying. I was saying if I had gone in that direction, then I would have definitely given you pause. Now, if I say I want to,
you can't walk that back. Damn, son.
That's fine. There's a lot of things I can't walk back, and guess what? Don't regret any of them. Don't regret any of them, because there's this thing called context. Last thing, you think LSU wins how many regular season games?
2. Oh, 2. More. 7. I think you can win this week.
Early FanDuel line says what? LSU
5.5. LSU
5.5.
Mm-hmm. Hey, you might actually score a touchdown this week.
I don't think. I do think people need to bring up the possibility that LSU is a bottom 3 SEC team right now.
Oh, they definitely are a bottom 3 SEC team right now.
I don't think it's definitely, but they're.
Auburn, I really question if you could beat Auburn right now.
Arkansas, we'll see this weekend. And then
Auburn,
South
Carolina,
Carolina. Okay. And then Kentucky, but they won big. Let's go Cats. All right, buddy. We'll see you Tuesday night.
See you, buddy. Peace.
All right, we'll take a few more. Had an Eisenhower moment. I do not walk back anything. I was checking him for the pause, saying, Lane, I want to try your brisket. I don't think that's pause worthy, but I was given an example of what a pause might be. Okay. Now, I gave Blake a lot of credit for calling out Garrett Nussmeier, but then I pushed back, and then he's like, well, if you give me credit, you got to agree with every last thing I say about him. No, I will always defend Garrett Nussmeier in 2024. I always will, like I did in the film study. But I will tell you, once again, I am no Matt Flynn. I am no Brian Baldinger. Cody Alexander. I'm no I'm no film aficionado. I do film studies, and people like them, apparently. NFL and college. I'm telling you right now, the Garrett Nussmeier tape is worse than what you would probably think it is versus Alabama. And this is what I meant to bring up, but Garrett Nussmeier is the worst red zone quarterback I have ever seen at LSU. Now, that might not be specifically true, but I have never, ever seen a quarterback actually show that he can be great. And then once he gets into the red area, he is so unfreaking believably bad. It is so bad. It's every different type of mistake. Every different mistake you can think of. And then those are just the mistakes that he is making. Those don't also include his shortcomings as a quarterback, which, of course, the biggest is he can't run. So there's also the plays that other quarterbacks are making in the red zone that you never actually see Garrett make. Now, let's just say tomorrow they say Michael Van Buren is a full-time starter. This is one thing you have to keep in mind is that as a runner, he is probably still a bottom 4 or 5 runner at the QB position in the SEC. But I say that because this is the strongest the SEC has ever been when it comes to QBs that can run, if that makes sense, right? The running quarterback in the SEC has been so good. I mean, there are some deadly legs in the SEC. Gunnar Stockton might be the best red zone rushing quarterback I can remember. I mean, he is so good at running the football in that portion of the field. Overall, though, he might not be a top 4 or 5 runner at the QB position in this conference. So the thing is Garrett gave you nothing as a red zone quarterback rusher. And the thing that will always anger me, it will destroy my soul, is on the QB draw versus Texas A&M, him bouncing it. That makes no sense. You pound that bad boy up in there. You give him one of these, and that's a no-pause moment. You look at the play, and you say, I'm just ramming this bitch up in there. If we're going to go off the rails, we'll go off the rails. No lube. Just boom. Bang it up in there. Bang it up in there. So it drives me nuts. It drives me absolutely nuts. And look, you get things right, you get things wrong, it's egg on my face. I believe the Garrett Nussmeier hype. I thought he was going to be a really good quarterback. My opinion still remained the same, that I didn't have him as a Heisman Trophy winner. I was very consistent in saying that I don't think he would come close to Joe or Jaden's greatness. I don't think many quarterbacks ever will do that again. And I thought he would be in the New York conversation, but man, it's one of the more shocking benchings though I can remember in the SEC. It is definitely that. And look, this is going to be the comment. There's a lot of big time friends of Garrett Nussmeier, teammates of Garrett Nussmeier that watch his channel. I've never had the good fortune of meeting him. I hope I get to, because I am grateful for him taking those hits and him winning the games that he did indeed win. You know, even the Clemson win, even though the rest of the season didn't play out the way it did, played fine there. But it is so tough watching him play this year. It is really, really, really hard. Okay. But yeah, always a good, intense debate with Mr. Ruffino. Okay. Now, next thing, as far as the head coaching search. It's still the overarching question. I do think for me, LSU is still going to go big game hunting for the head coach. And I think all of them are going to say no. I do. I really, really, really do. You know, it's interesting because Eli Drinkowitz's name has been, brought up. There was a clip, I think Jacques Doucet released with some LSU legends or just some people, guests talking about Eli Drinkowitz. And he is a damn good coach. Don't let this A&M result fool you. You know, he's gotten very unlucky that in a lot of these big games versus the big teams, he's had a hurt quarterback. He's had a backup to the backup in. He had that versus Texas A&M this past weekend. He had that versus Alabama last year. So he's gotten some bad QB injury luck. One of his losses was to Jaden Daniels at his absolute peak. And, there's plenty that say, hey, his schedules have been easy. He's mostly won the games that he was supposed to win and lost the games, lose the games that he was supposed to lose. But at least in these games that he has lost, he has been competitive. On the road versus Georgia a few years ago, he was competitive. In a loss versus Alabama earlier this year, competitive. In very many ways, he had a chance to win that one. It took a Herculean effort from Ty Simpson for them to win that game. And he lost a good defensive coordinator to us. He's had a young offensive coordinator. There's been so many young OCs that just flame out. So, Drink's a really, really, really good coach. And I think he would do big things here at LSU. I do. Something underrated, though. One thing you got to remember about some of these coaches is that they are insane. They're not built like us, the ones that are actually good. There is a piece of them that is truly insane. That they have no rational idea of how to act when it comes to some things about football, right? One benefit of Eli Drinkowitz to LSU that is very under the radar is that he gets to play Arkansas every year. He hates Arkansas, even though he's from there. He hates that university with every fiber of his being. And some of these coaches are such insane competitors that might be, if LSU was pursuing Eli Drinkowitz, they might not have this intel. I know a decent amount about the Eli Drinkowitz Arkansas beef, if you will. I would sell that. Hey, you could still play this game every year, and we can give you a bigger war chest to make sure you win that game. So, that would be lower on the totem pole, but it might be up there. Okay. Let's go to Jed. LSU thought Kelly was good. Remember? Well, that's the thing. We're all guessing. That's why Blake brought up a random name in Eric Morris, and Eric Morris's numbers, his advanced numbers are really good. All right, they are really good. Now, as far as Blake talking about the Verge Osbury angle, is he actually going to make the hire? Is he not? I would be fine with, even if you don't think Verge is up for it, because he doesn't have any big time offensive coordinator experience. You know, I would be fine with him making the hire, because you have got to have an AD just do this, right? There needs to be someone in place. Even if, let's just say behind the scenes, it's this guy, it was actually Scott Ballard leading the search, and this was who he wanted, and Verge just had to sign off on it. Your athletic director needs to be in unison with the head coach. I am a big believer in that. Is it true that there are many ADs out there who don't kumbaya with their head coaches? Sure. But, I think a good example of this is, Oklahoma. Oklahoma has had such a long, sustained period of success. And a big reason why is Oklahoma during those Stoops, like heyday years. Once again, it was the Big 12. But I still think if Oklahoma was in the SEC, it might not win as much. I still think they're winning a lot with the Sam Bradfords and Adrian Petersons and all those guys. Why were they good? Well, they had alignment. They had the same AD, and they had the same head coach. They had really good alignment. All right. So, I do think you do not want whoever the next AD will be for LSU. I think it will be Verge. They tell us it's Verge. Some of the stuff Blake said, I do agree with, though. For the names to have been said, and for Georgia's AD to release a statement saying, hey, I'm staying at Georgia, and then we go straight into Verge being the guy, it's interesting. It is very, very, very interesting. Okay. Let's go to Dane. He says, a close friend is a former president of the Board of Supervisors. He texted me today. He loves Verge and said Verge was the one running things under Joe Oliva. I could tell you, as far as the scheduling of games is concerned, that is definitely true. Verge I interviewed him, and he said that in an interview that arguably the most important thing an AD does, which is outside of hiring the coaches, is setting the schedules for your football team. And Verge is very involved. But as far as who does what, it is interesting when it comes to being an athletic director. You have a situation with Scott Woodward, right? When Scott was fired, there was was Scott really the one that really hired Jay Johnson, or was it Stephanie Rimpey, who's now the athletic director in Nevada? I don't know. But, with the athletic director and coaching search thing, that is going to remain fluid. Even though last night wasn't great, it was a relief to actually talk about an actual game. Now, coming up next, there is a really prominent LSU football player that LSU seriously needs to consider benching. And I hate to say it, but some of this was evident on their tape last year. Power Hour Network listeners and viewers, you might be consuming this content with that crick in your back that you've been trying to get rid of for so long. Take this as your sign today to book your appointment with LabordTherapy.com. In the Lafayette region, there is no one that you will find that cares more about any different type of pain that you might have than the team at LabordTherapy.com. Book today. Once again, that's LABORDE Therapy.com, or you can visit one of their 5 locations all throughout the Lafayette region. PHL Nation, it's time to lock in and get serious really quickly with our friends at Fortified Gulf Coast and FortifiedGulf.com. This is my buddy Ramey. He is one of many Fortified Gulf Coast inspection professionals that are doing something to help you not only save your home, but your memories.
The Fortified program got started about 13 years ago. We adopted it here in New Orleans about 2.5 years ago. It's a more advanced way of doing the roof. It adds an extra layer of protection, whereas even if a hurricane was to pull the shingles off this roof, water will still not get into the house.
So yes, your establishment is important, but what about the things you can't replace? That family scrapbook or that painting that's been handed down from Meemaw to Papaw and to you. It is important to protect that today with Fortified Roofing. And while this seems like a priceless asset, did you know it can actually save you on your homeowner's insurance up to 37% if you are in South Louisiana? Just call the number 504-444-7563. That's 504-444-7563, or visit FortifiedGulf.com. That's FortifiedGulf.com. Let's go. So LSU with Patrick Payton really needs to ask an important question about what the hell happened last night. He made one amazing hustle play on the throwback to Lozier Brooks. It was a trick play to Jeremy Bernard, and they threw it back to Brooks on the opposite side. But, man, it looked like he was going through the motions. He is a poor tackler. He does not bend around the edge. It looks like he didn't really work on that at all. And you do begin to question, hey, Kevin Peoples did what he did last year with Braden Swinson. Why hasn't it happened with Patrick Payton? Well, I don't know. He was given plenty of one-on-ones. The thing that's crazy is none of the edge players that LSU has are really known for that, right? Pyburn is a run-stopping defensive end, and he's really good at it. He's not really an edge bender. But at least him and Jamari Butler are trying their hardest to turn the corner. and trying moves. Patrick Payton was just engaging with guys and saying, hey, put some cumbia on. Let's salsa. Let's dance. Caden Proctor, and I know Blake shared the PFF stats. PFF with the offensive line grades are normally accurate, but they do have a weakness when it comes to the elite draft prospects for whatever reason. They had a problem with this, I believe, with Paris Johnson, who was an Ohio State first-round prospect, where they said he didn't give up any pressures, and he clearly gave up pressures. Blake is probably right. If PFF didn't chart Proctor with the pressure since Florida State, I get it because Proctor's a good player, but he does get beat. For me, as someone that does Alabama film studies, I've seen him get beat. I might be totally wrong on that, though. It just comes down to your definition of getting beat. The fact that we weren't close to beating Proctor all night long is a problem, okay? I also think out of all the defensive linemen, I felt as if they were playing hard. I don't know if that was the case with Patrick Payton last night. I will also say, getting to play Florida State twice in 2022 and 2023, I made two really good friends. One is a regular guest of ours. And, when Patrick Payton transferred over, they called me up and said, hey, there is a chance he disengages. When things aren't looking good, he'll disengage. He looked disengaged last night. Could be totally wrong. Could be an off game. His overall PFF grades are fine. I was a little shocked that his PFF grade was like diabolically low for this game, like Weston Davis level low. But the reason I do think you need to try some of these younger ends is that every single end that you have is leaving. They have to. They're in their final year of eligibility. So let's see what Damian Shanklin has. All right. So full disclosure, I'm a big Jack Pyburn fan. He joined the channel. I do think he's playing well. All right. The PFF grades backed that up last night. I thought he had a really good game. I thought Butler did some really good things. But going into the season, Payton was the guy that we viewed as the one with the highest upside, the one with the draft potential, one that's actually been in first-round mocks in the past. And, he's not really been that big of an impact player. And there are some benefits of, Braden Swinson not being on your team anymore. I think one of those is you have more sound rush defense ends with him not there. Swinson also had some, and this was brought up in his NFL evaluations. It was the only reason he fell as far as he did. There were some character things with him, but damn it, he was good. Braden Swinson was so damn good. Okay, so for me, I would like to see some of the younger guys get some run there, and overall, the defensive ends I think have been good. I do think overall they have been good. But the worst game a defensive end has played this season was Patrick Payton versus Alabama. I truly do believe it. And this gets into another thing as far as Alabama is concerned. In order to beat these guys, all right, let's make one thing crystal clear. We are not their rivals. They curb stomp our asses. They are treating us like little bro. Okay? And I understand I shouldn't say that as an LSU YouTuber. I understand that. But someone needs to look at you in the face and tell you that our asses are getting kicked by them almost every single season. We should have blown them out in 2019. One bad Ed Orgeron punt allowed them back into the game. But I was glad we won. We were the far better team. Then we beat them in 2022. That was an all-time great game. And then we've had a few other close games. Obviously, the TJ Yeldon game we should have won. We beat them in back-to-back seasons, 2010 and 2011. But we are their little bro, and someone has got to tell you that. And if it's me, sure. Okay? So, I preseason had Alabama going to the college football playoff and making a run. And I had that because I thought their offensive line was good. I've been kind of right about that. They're okay. I thought their wide receiver room it was really elite. They're good. They're not really elite. Bernard is really elite, but Ryan Williams is actually disappointed. But Simpson's amazing. That defense is good. No superstars. There's no Will Anderson or Dallas Turner on that group, but they're a good group. I mean, this is a good football team that has played a historically tough schedule up to this point, and they have this thing that we don't have called resiliency. And look, there are some guys out there, and I'll also say this, outside of Peyton, I did see better effort from LSU in this game. We played hard. You did have former players saying, hey, it does look like we're playing and we're being competitive and all those different things. But we are so behind. We are so behind in so many different areas. We are behind in development. And I promise we're going to get to more of your comments and super chats and all of it. I really am just locking in on you. All right. We are behind on development. We're recruiting about where we normally recruit, but we could do better there. We are behind in terms of scheme, both offensively and defensively. I have been in many ways disappointed with Blake Baker this year. And I put a good bit of, myself out there for Blake. I think he has a Lane Kiffin problem where he can be brazenly aggressive at times and it backfire. Where he has been so bad. And this is a good memo for every single football coach that's out there. Every single one from someone that does not coach. You can be diabolically bad in the red zone on offense. But you can't be diabolically bad in the red zone on offense and defense. And that's been us this year. We stink in the red zone defensively. Offensively, that's clear as day. We are the worst offense in the red zone I have ever seen. Maybe in any team. We forget how to play football. But defensively, we have given up so many walk-in touchdowns. And what do I mean by walk-in touchdowns? Easy reads, easy pitch and catch. He's open. I see him open. I'm going to throw it to him open. Touchdowns. Walk-in touchdown, Kwan Lacey versus Ole Miss. He's running in from 5 yards out. Into the second quarter versus Ole Miss. Same thing. Into the second quarter versus Alabama. We bring a slot corner blitz. Opens up a wide open 2-on-1 with their receivers. Ty Simpson was diabolically late in throwing the football to Ryan Williams. And he still was able to get it in there. Sierra Defensive Film Study from earlier today. And I think it was a blown assignment. Because there's no rational way that a defensive coordinator who makes $2.5 million a year to do this job would have someone, especially with college hash marks, be at the line of scrimmage, which Devon Keys was, and he be the guy responsible for Ryan Williams lined up out wide on the opposite hash. We had all three of our key dime defensive backs, our two safeties, 0, 13, Halsey and Cooley. We also had Spears all in a ball lineup on that side. Pitch and catch touchdown. What are we doing? Overall, the defense was fine, but Alabama was already a good red zone offense. We made their lives a lot easier. Then the Daniel Hill rushing touchdown. Harold Perkins, who I thought did some good things last night, submarined. And so Patrick Payton missed another tackle, or he was getting ridden into the end zone. If Harold Perkins doesn't try and cut his legs out and just tackles him, he doesn't score. And instead of Daniel Hill scoring a touchdown, it's 3rd and goal from the 2-yard line. So why is that valuable? Well, we've already made a 4th down stop. So making them convert in that area is big. And this has to get to the next coaching staff. This needs to be ripped out of the fabric of this program. We as a team, and this is players and coaches, and if I had to sit in front of every single one of these guys and say it to their faces, I would bring examples. We do not possess basic football acumen, basic football IQ. All right. And once again, I'm not the biggest college football YouTuber. I'm not the LSU YouTuber. I think Josh Pate's live. He's got 13,000. I got 371 of you watching me. Hopefully one day I can get up to 5,000 per stream doing a national college football show. I love this sport. Okay. But you can make an emancipation proclamation of how many basic things that we do wrong during a game that should be rooted out. This program has generational money receivers. And on top of that, hundreds of sharp analysts who should have by now figured out this timeout issue, this rotation issue. And understanding if you are losing in the fourth quarter of a game, don't burn full 40s. You should be snapping the football with no less than 25 seconds on the clock. You have got to go. The new clock rules limit the amount of possessions you have during the game. So your ass needs to be going. And I thought that was going to be fixed. I thought that was a Brian Kelly issue. Get BK the hell out of there. And the first thing that I would do if I was Frank Wilson is say, look, we have got to go. But what are we doing? 1,000 wide receiver rotations, penalties galore, standing in stances for forever. It doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. I do have a glimmer of hope that Frank Wilson admitted after the game that, hey, I made a clock error and I'm going to fix it. It was on me. Even though Garrett should have hit the throw to where that clock error wasn't an error. In fact, it would have been a bold decision that we would be giving Frank a lot of credit for. But he agreed that the process behind the decision was not a good one. And I agree with him. Which is why now, for you guys to hold me accountable, because I get shit wrong all the time. I look at this team every day. I get things wrong all the time. But part of the reason why I like being live during games is that when the game is actually going on, you can go back and listen to my opinion about every single play and know that it's not revisionist history. I'm shooting you straight. You have got to be kidding me with some of these clock management things, right? Just in general, it is so hard for an offensive lineman that's already struggling to stay in stances as long as we have them standing in stances. That's why you get a lot of false starts and so on and so on. And plus, we're on the road. So if you're on the road, you're going to have a lot of these false starts. But, it's a massive problem. It's a massive, massive, massive problem. And then we get into other, like, just basic football IQ things, right? There's so many things you can point to. All right, there was an instance where we had a Deshaun Jackson situation where if the play was reviewed, we would have had someone dropping the football before crossing the end line or very close to it. We also have situations where we'll just blow coverages. I mean, just guys running wide open. Some of that would be on the secondary. A good bit of it have been some difficult Blake Baker calls. There have been so many instances where we are losing and it's third and medium and we're letting them play pitch and catch for easy conversions. Okay. So we've got to do the basic things correct. We just do. Okay. Now, Let's get to as many comments as we can. We say hi to Jackson Carter. First quarter timeouts. Yes. Patrick says horrible football IQ on a base level. Yes. It's interesting. Like, I would adore to attend one full offensive line practice. One, just sit there to watch this all unfold. I want people to fully grasp, because I think a lot of you know that Brad Davis will not be retained. And I hate that for him. He made a bold decision leaving his mentor at Arkansas to come back home to Baton Rouge. He survived one big roster cut in 2021 where he was the interim coach. And BK was, I'll tell you, was forced into keeping him. BK wanted to bring his brand new staff. So this was partially a Woodward thing, my understanding. True or not, Brad has been here for forever. This is, to me, the most damning thing about Brad Davis is that you guys can watch the games for yourself and see that our offensive line struggles to stand. They really, really struggle just staying upright during the course of a play. Now, there are instances where you have to fall down. Shit's moving fast. It's 22 bodies on the field at a time. Guys will come in and sweep your legs out from under you. I am no Duke Mayweather or anyone like that. Mitchell Schwartz, any offensive line guru you want to speak to. Brandon Thorne. But we whiff a lot. A whole heck of a lot. All right? Good example of this. So we call a good screen to Bauer Sharp. It gets poked out. Then, on the very next drive, we call a screen again to Bauer Sharp. I love the play call. All right? One thing I will give Frank Wilson and Alex Atkins a lot of credit for is that they actually did run plays that I freaking love. All right, there was two plays in particular. One, we've already explained this. Members in Patreon, you have access to an extra Garrett Nussmeier film study. And by the way, if you join the Patreon tonight, I cover your first month's expenses. That's all I mean. You get Discord access and all of that. But there is a play that every team is running. The Bills run it. The Chiefs run it. Bama runs it. Georgia runs it. So think of whichever great offensive organization you can think of. Everybody's running this play. It's the most common play. It's called RB Fast. Very simple play. But it's very complex in how it looks. I've been begging LSU to run plays that are like this for years. And we have done so some of the time. All right, so the first Nick Anderson deep catch was an RB Fast play. And Garrett could have thrown it to the first read, which is Caden, but he smartly waited for Nick to come around and threw a deep shot to Nick, and it was a big play. Then the second Bauer Sharp screen, in fact, I might be able to pull it up for you here. Let me see. Type Y for yes if you want to do some Sunday night film study. Normally, and I just want to keep it a chat, if you will. Let's go here. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, yeah, this is it. I actually went straight to it. All right. So I got to be careful because YouTube's going crazy over film studies right now. Oh, yeah, all of my film studies from this point forward, I don't know if YouTube's going to be able to let me monetize them because of, the beef with ESPN right now. So all your donations are very much appreciated. Okay? And they take forever to do, as many of you know. Some of them take forever to do. Others, no. All right, so this is the first play after the Bauer Sharp fumble. All right, and this is a play that the Kansas City Chiefs popularized, and normally this is Travis Kelce running it. Okay, so this is a misdirection play, and you'll see here that we are faking a counter GY to the left. So we have Shanahan pulling around. That's your right guard. And then we also have Trey Green pulling around. We do run more counter. And obviously, this is Alex Atkins' first game calling plays. And Alex Atkins is a counter guy. So after a big turnover, Alabama's probably thinking, hey, they're going to run counter. They're going to go run Alex Atkins' bread and butter play, and they're going to run it to their best running back, which is Harlem Berry. So you see all that gravity that Harlem Berry brings to the left side. All right, the play side knows has blown this play up. That's the guy to the front of the hash. You have the end that Shanahan's going to kick out there. You have Trey Green coming around. So they blow this counter up if we were actually handing it off. No, we're actually running a little screen and roll action to the right side. So think of screen and rolls as like in basketball, right? So Barry Sharp is setting a screen on the end, and then his job is to roll to the right. And notice what happens. Look at all the Alabama players that are to the left of the hash on your screen right now. 1, 2, 3, 4 guys. And look at how many Alabama players are to the right of the hash. There's 3, okay? One of those has to run towards Garrett. So now we have 3 guys out here to block 2. And one thing you cannot call Barry Sharp is slow. He is really fast for a tight end. So all we need is number 75, Weston Davis, to come back. This is an easy seal read, all right, for him to come back and just seal this guy. And look, Barry Sharp has all day to throw, and that defensive lineman is not catching him from behind. But you see, he misses this block, and this is a perfect play call. Look at all this green grass down the numbers that Barry Sharp has to work with. If these 2 guys can get this it's not an easy block for any offensive lineman that's ever been out in space. You know how difficult of a block this is. And, well, you see Weston Davis whiffs it. And this is still a good gain. All right, this is still a successful play per success rate. Right, we gain 5 yards here, but it should have been more. Should have been at least 15, 20. Okay. And what I'll do is hopefully this doesn't take my channel down, but we'll run this at full speed. So wait, screen. Okay. And Weston's late. All right. It's harder than it looks. It's a really good play call. But the chat was, wait, why are we running this to Barry Sharp? That's a great play call. So one big thing about the LSU offense, as bad as it's been, we tend to focus on the disaster plays. All right, Garrett takes this sack, Garrett takes this interception, or all of that, and he deserves a good chunk of the blame for it. But part of why I'll defend Garrett is that this offensive line struggles when we have a perfect play call set up to carry out somewhat simple tasks for us to gain more yards on plays that are actually successful. So there are plenty of instances where we actually do have a 5-yard gain, and it should be a 20-yard gain, like that one you just saw. And those hidden yardage, that stuff picks up. All right, so good example. The second team that I film study the most at any level now is Georgia. All right. Their offensive linemen on screens, they are so damn good at it. They are so damn good at it. Now, they have better offensive linemen than we do. They have a better play caller than we do. But we have to do a better job of gaining the maximum, gaining more yards on plays that we actually do have advantages. All right. But and this was a problem with DJ Chester last year. There were so many, like, the worst thing you can do with a struggling player that is really stinking up the joint is keep playing them. When that player knows they are struggling, you have got to bench them and let them regather themselves. Because the worst feeling in the world is not being on the bench. It's playing when you know at that juncture you're not good enough to play. And I do think, as disastrous as Garrett Nussmeier was, and as much I would compliment Blake for, calling and being skeptical of Garrett, one thing that a lot of people mentioned when they went to practice was Garrett was immaculate at practices. He was really, really, really good in most practices, better than what he was last year. And there was a lot of practices where people said Michael Van Buren was not playing well. Practices don't mean jack squat. They don't. What I would say, though, is there wasn't really a week that went by where someone wasn't telling me, hey, Weston Davis, this is not it. This is not it. Great. I'm glad. I'm glad Garrett has a great relationship with the Lord. That is way more important than any praise or criticism I give him, and he will tell you the same thing. Okay, I hate it. And honestly, on that block, you're hoping Cohen Eccles can get out on that guy and get that block. It's not necessarily his assignment, but the truth is, if you have two guys on one dude, pause, you have got to carry out the assignment. You've got to find a way to get it done. Okay? Now, here's what we're going to do. In the next 5 to 10, I'm going to answer as many questions as we possibly can. If you super chat, we'll keep this party moving. Big thanks once again to Blake Ruffino for joining us. I will be on, I don't know exactly what they're doing, but I will be on KTBS Channel 3 tomorrow for my North Louisiana folks. One thing, like how lucky so much of this stuff actually is, like when it comes to player decisions and GM decisions and all of that. I was watching the game in Europe this morning, and it sucks because I went to bed a little bit earlier than normal. I stayed up till 4 cutting film studies, and then normally I stay up until 6 in the morning on after an LSU game. And what was very fascinating was I woke up and watched a game in Europe. There was a game played today in Berlin. And Jonathan Taylor, what was that? He looked amazing. He had 3 touchdowns, 280 yards or something like that. And to think, if the Chiefs would have selected Jonathan Taylor over Clyde Edwards-Helaire, JT would be with Patrick Mahomes right now, right? Would he have been the same quality of player? I don't know. But I say that because, there are so many different dominoes that need to fall for your team to be successful. Another good example. Let's take Texas A&M. We were in an intense recruiting battle for Chase Basantis. All right, he's a really good offensive lineman that's going to get drafted for A&M. And, Brad's a really good recruiter, and we did what we could and then didn't get him. So would Basantis have been as good of a player? Because not every offensive lineman that Brad Davis has had has been atrocious. Most of them have been, but how much does Chase Basantis change this team? he might make you a full win better, knowing how bad the offensive guard play has been. So it's hard. It's hard. We got someone named Bama Nation saying Falcons to the Super Bowl. He's really trying to troll me. So he gets the good old-fashioned block. Side to neat. James, what's good? James and Rustin. Where's James been? All right, I know it's been a lot of rain, so we're gonna get to as many questions here. Fan base entitlement. Yeah, we're spoiled. Remember that? Okay. Let's go to Bo Barbecue. Nuss isn't good enough to play behind a bad offensive line. The new coach will have to find a QB in the portal. Okay. Here's the problem I have with this is the offensive line has been so bad for LSU that there are quite a few good quarterbacks in the SEC that would not be having the seasons that they would be having at their schools if they were in the same environment with the same play calling environment and all of those things, right? But it doesn't absolve some of these things that Garrett Nussmeier has just missed on. All right. And once again, you win some, you lose some with some of these. It is funny, though, because, like, I was such a big Nuss defender in the offseason, while at the same time, I didn't place a Nuss Heisman ticket. I didn't think he was going to be elite this year. Called out the running, which has not gotten better. Called out the really poor deep passing, which I thought would get marginally better. None of those things have gotten better. It's been really tough. It's been really, really, really tough. Okay. Sorry to Cliff. Yeah, I overran the block. All right. I want to ask this question before I go. You guys have got to let me know what you want to see. Do you want more film studies? Do you want me to do head coaching hot boards? Do you want me to talk about the defense more? You guys have got to let me know. We're gonna do a lot of women's basketball stuff this year because they're gonna be good. Let's see what are some other things I wanted to get to, other than support our partners, join our Patreon, join our memberships. Nick says, what's a good coach that we can actually land? Well, I mean, you actually can land Lane Kiffin. I mean, I don't think it would be the most far-fetched thing in the world, but I think it's unlikely. I do think you should go back. I don't know who said it in the comments, but there are so many good coaches in college football that don't have head coaching experience. And my hottest scorching take is that it's a lot harder to hire a coordinator who doesn't have coordinating experience compared to hiring a head coach who doesn't have coordinator experience or doesn't have head coaching experience. So Kirby's the best coach in the sport. He had never been a head coach previous. Same thing when Lanning and so on and so on. So is there a name? I mean, there are quite a few coordinators that I like a lot, but I don't know if they're going to be a good head coach. But then again, you don't know. You don't know. You do not want Coach overturning. Okay. Pegasus says the main difference between JD first year here versus us to me is I never felt like JD lost us the game, which is really big in my book. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Let's go to STT. MVB was very inaccurate and is not the answer. The answer is to fix the OL. Yeah, he was short on some passes, says STD on Twitter. Okay. J Mach says MVB is getting paid. Don't feel bad. Okay. So I've gotten a few comments about Jaden. Yeah. I was very critical of Jaden. I was also very praiseworthy of Jaden. If you go back to Jaden's first year, and in 2022, yeah, there were some low moments, but to Pegasus's point, he didn't lose a game the same way that Garrett lost you a game versus A&M. Now, it wasn't just him; it was the Marcel Reed thing as well. But yeah, I would agree with that, and obviously the work ethic difference, which I've pointed out a few times, is a thing. It's a very real thing. The main thing that I hammered for with Garrett was him getting a lot of playing time versus Grambling, if not starting in week 2. I'm a big believer in giving a QB a start. I was also a big believer in doing that with Michael Van Buren earlier this year versus Southeastern. But I changed my tune on that because, our offense was sucking. So we needed to show that our offense could get something done. The Florida State game, the LSU offense was mostly fine in that game. But yeah, it was interesting when you're defending. I try to be as fair as I possibly can, and people will always take your extremes to one end or the other. As far as like Garrett is concerned, his deep passing last year wasn't as good as people remember, and it's been worse this year. Ironically, his running has gotten slightly better, but it's not been as good as it should be. And there's a lot of hidden yardage that you lose with that. One big Garrett piece of praise that a lot of NFL evaluators gave him was a lot of the better NFL quarterbacks had a low pressure to sack ratio in college, which means you don't take a lot of sacks. You get the football out quickly. You go through your progressions quickly. Well, Garrett had a very low pressure to sack ratio, and it's gone way up. Whereas with Jaden, it was the opposite. I defended Jaden's sacks, right? In 2022, Jaden was like at an SEC record level with the amount of sacks he took, him and Will Levis. The difference was Will Levis lost roughly 100 more yards on the same amount of sacks as Jaden did. So Jaden, when he took sacks, they weren't bad sacks. And then obviously, Jaden, that final year in 2023, he wasn't missing the gimme shots that were given to him, and then he ended up being the best college deep ball thrower of all time. Now, if any of y'all predicted that Jaden would be the best deep ball thrower of all time, show me those predictions. But I still I still think, and Harbaugh did this a few years ago with J.J. McCarthy, I still think in these FCS rent wins, there is a lot of value in starting your backup. To number one, see what he has. Number two, keep your starter healthy. Unless your offense is inept. So, Louisiana Tech, I would have considered starting MVB. More so just to see what he has as a starter. But he had actual starting experience going into it, so it's different. But yeah, I think for me, it also goes to show you that no one really knows what's going to happen at the QB position. No one knows. Joe Burrow had 4 straight games in his first season as a starter where he didn't throw a single touchdown pass. To then the next season play the only perfect season we've ever seen from a college quarterback. And he literally had a perfect season. Didn't have a game under 278 yards passing. Only had 2 games under 300 yards passing. When he needed to run, he ran at an extremely efficient level. So, yeah. But if you were to look at the messages I received, I got more hate for defending Jaden, all right, than I did for criticizing him, which was crazy to me because you would think it would be the other way around, right? When you're criticizing someone, you would think you would take more hate for criticizing the quarterback of everybody's favorite team, which of course is LSU. But, it comes with it. But yeah, you miss some, you get some things right. Let me see here. I do think some of these Drake May takes are getting a little out of control with Jaden. That you would take, that there are people out there that would legitimately take Drake May over Jaden Daniels right now. And I get it. I was a big Drake May fan. I'm still a big Drake May fan. But to think that someone that was 1 game away from the Super Bowl and was very competitive in that game versus the Eagles, and he hurts himself, has a bunch of injuries, and now people want Drake May over Jaden Daniels? It's crazy to me. Yeah, so I'll go down this road again. So much of this is so much of quarterbacking is how much work you want to put in. Okay. So yes, I've heard of the Garrett Nussmeier work ethic things, but I could never really get somebody in Nuss's camp to tell me if that were true or not. But yeah, you would hear some things about wide receivers wanting to throw with Garrett and all of that. The only thing I could tell you though is Jaden worked his ass off going into 2023. And I shared this at one of Jaden's close members of his inner circle is, and he's been in the chat before. And obviously he's not in here as much because of Jaden now being in the NFL. But he would call me and say, Carter, it's going to be crazy. And he would call me out on some of my criticisms of Jaden as well. He said, Carter, it's going to be crazy what he's going to do this year. And he was right. He was right. And I'm not going to lie, it helped me. It's like, Carter, this dude is going to be different. And when I saw it, it was the Manning Passing Academy when he was throwing dots against air, and I was like, it does look different. It does look different. But yeah, I mean, the effort thing is a real thing. Okay. Yeah, we'll do an MVB study tomorrow night at 6. Mm. Big thanks to D. Will for joining the membership. I appreciate you, man. The VR stuff, well, I'll tell you this. One guy who did the VR thing was Talon Green, and you see how good he's been this year. He's been really good. But on a 2-7 team. Talon's kind of a mix of Garrett and Jaden. Let's see. I saw Paul Tagliabue die today, and Lenny Wilkens died today. Great NBA coach and player, Hall of Famer. And Paul Tagliabue was a great commissioner. Or at least I think he was a good commissioner. Thank you, Ronnie. I appreciate it, man. I think I'm okay at this. I like to think I'm really good at this. I might not be, though. My job necessarily, though, isn't to be right about everything. It's to be as compelling as I possibly can. Compelling in the sense of I'm entertaining you. It's an escape from everything that's going on in the world. I'd rather talk about this than Governor Landry and all of that. But my main goal is to be thought-provoking. I don't like safe analysis. I don't. I like aggressive but also positive analysis. You could do both, right? If the host, and if you listen close enough, if the host aren't taking stands, what's the point? What's the point? If the hosts don't actually take stands, there's no point. None. And that goes with any piece of content. That's why I gave Blake a lot of credit for the Garrett Nussmeier stuff. He's never really liked Nuss. It's just the truth. And he was right. He was right. Yeah, Stephanie, I mean, part of it is to inform, okay? But if, like, you can get informed by a lot of things. Like, ChatGPT can inform you on stuff. I've got to be somewhat entertaining, or I have to be. But yeah, that's part of it. I want to inform. I get this a lot too, Ronnie Mac. I miss 2019. That was so much fun. True. I can do some juggling. I do some magic tricks. Why not? But I think about it this way, as far as the 2019 stuff is concerned. You could look at most teams. Alabama's never had a 2019 LSU. That was a generational thing, right? You should just be hoping for 2010 LSU, right? A very, very, very good team. That should be a standard. Now, of course, we want to win the Natty. So there you go. Now, let's get to all your super chats for the evening. Daniel and Dane holding it down. We appreciate you guys so much. And we shall talk to you soon. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom. Tonight, we are doing buffalo chicken. Let's go.